as Jonathan Hernandez comes out and takes the lead. Oh, we got lots of stuff going on here. Oh my god, there is death everywhere. Everyone got tight and have just gone up and slammed the wall. Boomerang shoes in that one, Jordan Lee. A lot of people just getting very tight there on the corner exit. It'd be almost easier to tell you who was not involved. I can see Jonathan Hernandez still on track, Clayton Ward, Ryan Pizzakemi, and Cosman. I'm going to have to talk to Cosman about how to pronounce his last name there. Because I have no idea how to pronounce that. That's the driver of the 48 car, who I believe is just coming to the... Oh! He's just punted himself into the end of... Derek Myers, the teammate of Gerald West. Oh, and the 98 of Jerry Glenn's just gone round. I think that was off the bumper of Logan Lansford. And that is going to give the advantage to Gerald West here on the outside line. But can they hold it? That is the question. Did they make their move too soon? Thomas Harmon sitting there just in behind them. He moves up. Derek blocks. He moves down. Derek blocks again. And we have contact. Derek Myers goes round. The win is going to Thomas Harmon. Thomas Harmon wins. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Aussie Sim Commentator channel, and welcome to North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Champs Speed Shop 150 here at this classic track all the way back in 1987. Right, this is the 1987 layout of the North Wilkesboro Speedway, and you're lucky you've joined us when you have, because we just changed server. That's why the ticker is turned off now. Not many people have put down lap times just yet. So we're waiting for a couple of laps to come onto the board, and then we'll bring the ticker back up onto the screen. But I can tell you, currently, it is Christian Budd leading the way from Kyle Kraus and Jonathan Hernandez. They're the only three people who have put down lap times. Oh. And drama there on the back straight as Christian Budd got involved in an incident there with Chambliss and then Hernandez. Corey Williamson going for a little spin there as well. Starting to get a few more people on the track now. So let's bring up the ticker. You guys can see how people are going so far. Only 5 times recorded. Jaron Sanchez moved up to 3rd. And Corey Williamson in 4th. But more people will start putting down lap times as we get going here, and we should be doing a pit party very shortly as well. It's Christian Budd by, I'm gonna have to say that's 4.07 of a second over Jonathan Hernandez. That's the beautiful thing about these short tracks, is that everything's a lot closer. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers can handle all of this. As you can see, we are in the afternoon here in Sim.
Sorry.
We got driver voices, which we don't want just yet. Save that later on when the race is on. Now it's Christian Budd from Jaron Sanchez, Kyle Kraus, Jonathan Hernandez, Thomas Harmon is your top 5. Zell, Williamson, Chambliss, Marquez, and Champo wrapping up your top 10 there so far for times taken here in the new practice session. There's Sanchez having a little bit of a mistake there coming out turn 2. But Christian Budd was there as well. Jonas Marquez pulling into the pits. Oh, contact between Chris Champo and Corey Williamson. Thomas Harmon involved there as well. Staying to the 50 of Christian Budd. 12 of Matt Burgess, Jonathan Hernandez, Brian Kizakemi. A lot of people involved in that one. I think even Chris Champo came in again. It looks like we got the majority of the field on the pit lane, so very possibly going for a pit party here shortly. Wow, that was a weird crash. Completely broke the right front suspension there on the 21 car. Looks like we're going to go one more lap around. Already a little bit of contact there between Sanchez and Bud on the front row. All right, here we go. They come out of turn 4. We'll get the green flag this time for the pit party. And they're off and racing. Wow, in the background now, the 12, Matt Burgess getting a huge jump. As we go 2, 3, and sometimes 4 wide, especially for the lead there. And it looks like Christian Budd taking the advantage, taking the lead. Sanchez got into the wall, saw Matt Burgess in the background spinning. There he is. Oh, Jonas Marquez has gone around. There's a big pile up on the backstretch. Oh, what have these pit parties come to? Complete and utter anarchy. There's a 78, Brian Pizzicami, who's gone around. But everyone else who's on track seems to be still steering in the right direction. Kyle Kraus and Ken Campbell on screen. Currently 4th and 9th respectively in the practice times. '81 of Corey Williamson, currently P8. Seems these things getting very squirrely on the exit of the corners. You have to watch out for the walls as well. This track has the kind of walls that like to grab cars and show you what they're made of. And some of these walls are definitely not made of concrete. Frank Isaacson was on his side again, coming out of turn 2. And he's still there in the middle of the track, absolutely slammed by Harmon. Kyle Kraus, nowhere to go there. These guys are just having a little bit of fun. Just a little bit. Oh, and there goes Pizzicami for a half lose in the background. That's another thing too, these cars are very unsettled on entry when you hit the brakes. Definitely make for some interesting racing here. It was the 13. Travis Massey has gone around just collecting Corey Williamson as well. Corey, rather than hitting the gas and getting more people collected, decided to just hit the brakes and then tow. Chris Champeau also having a little bit of drama there in turn 1. As we have about 20 minutes left in the practice session here. I know the practice timer on the ticker there says 48 minutes, but well, 46 minutes. We're not going to follow that one because the session will probably get advanced at the normal time. Means that 5 minutes to the top of the hour will be the time where we will advance session and go to quali. '21 Brian Chandler's having a little bit of an issue there. That was the middle of 1 and 2. Jonas Marquez on screen, currently P12. Thomas Harmon behind him, who's currently 5th. Oh, Jonas getting loose coming out of 4. And got shoved into the wall there by Thomas. As Hernandez trying to work on the outside of Christian Budd. And it looks like that secondary lane is a very viable option for the race. As Matt Burgess goes grinding along the pit lane there. Travis Massier having some issues coming off turn 2. And Hernandez having an issue now. That one is in turn 2 as well. You definitely got to watch how much throttle you're putting onto the car as you're coming off the corners. One small mistake and it is all over. I think the hardest part about this race is going to be the starts and the restarts because cold tyres around here can be pretty deadly. And we're seeing what some of them are doing with warm tyres. And even that is a little bit scary in itself. We currently have 18 people in the practice session here, 17 of which are going to be racing, the 18th being myself. Strength of field is a 2700 even. Well, Matt Burgess gets it all wrong there. The 88 and the 81. Jonathan Hernandez and Corey Williamson. And Jonathan makes that move very easily. Oh. Then they both hit the wall. Jonathan caught by the rubber band that sits at the exit of that access point in the wall. Let's hope no one gets caught by that rubber band in the race, because just by looking at things here in practice, that rubber band effect on that back straight access point, definitely a very deadly one. And we saw how far back it sprung Hernandez then. That was crazy. So your current top 10 right now: Christian Budd, Christian Poe, Ryan Chambliss. We've got Travis Massier in there, John Lozelle, P6 is Sanchez, Harmon, Pizzacami, Kraus, and Hernandez is your top 10. And all 17 cars that are on track and here to race have put down lap times. I don't have to worry about saying that my time doesn't count in this one, because they changed session while I was starting up the broadcast. We see Mark Pensicup running very wide there in 3 and 4. Knowing Hernandez through, who's now attacking the outside of Thomas Harmon. Spin in front of them by, I think that's Marquez. I think that was Marquez actually. Oh, and Harmon getting rear-ended by Pensicup as he was coming into the pits. Oh, now everyone's just piling in. Sheet metal everywhere. Frank Isaacson trying to do his best ball runner impression. I think Frank just started gliding down the track too. No one hit him. We got the 88 car upside down in turn 4, Jonathan Hernandez. Now we have about 11 or 12 minutes to go in this practice session. Oh, Kyle Kraus coming out of turn 4, getting it sideways. Underneath Jonas. Oh, someone else there. Going for a real wicked spin. That was John Lozelle. This is Chris Champo, today's sponsor for Champ Speed Shop 150 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. All 3 wide coming off turn 2. That doesn't usually work. Corey Williamson paid for it. Got into the wall there coming out of turn 2. People practicing pit entry. Got the 50 of Christian Budd, who was just sitting there. Mistakes being made by Chris Champo and Frank Isaacson. Penticup getting into the wall. He tried to wall ride there, didn't work out for him. Kyle Kraus, I think he hit Frank. I think we might be gearing up here for another pit party. Everyone seems to be heading into the pits. Got people waiting in pit lane. So we are indeed doing another pit party here now. With 9 minutes left in practice, that's not a bad idea. Everyone's getting ready to get going here. And they're off and racing. Corey Williamson already first one in trouble. Made contact with someone on his outside and got spat off to the infield. A couple people getting the wall a little bit. So far, only one death. The 33 of Matt Horton. Trying to race on the inside of Matt Burgess there. Big check up in front of them. There's a 5 of Mark Penticup just in front of this 15 of Ken Campbell behind. Jonas Marquez working on the outside of Frank Isaacson. But Thomas Harmon and Brian Pizzakemi back there as well. Yeah, Mark's actually holding his own here against Hernandez. It's not a sentence you hear very often. Oh, Matt Horton getting loose. Jonas Marquez involved. I think just Pizzakemi as well. It looks like Hernandez now starting to get the advantage. Lozelle looking to take advantage as well. Oh, and around goes Ken Campbell. Onto the back straight, into the grass. And there goes his engine. That's what we like to call a delayed reaction explosion. But it doesn't look like anyone is going to have anything for the 50 of Christian Budd. He's a 10th and a half faster than Chris Champo in P2. John Lozelle still sitting in third, with Brian Chambliss fourth and Kyle Kraus in fifth. Oh, Jaron Sanchez has gone around. He got slammed by Corey Williamson. Matt Burgess has gone around. And there goes Pizzakemi for a little bit of a drift. That's through turns 1 and 2. You also got to remember, this track is on a hill as well. So turns 3 and 4 is the top of the hill, and 1 and 2 is the bottom of the hill. When this track was originally built, they were going to flatten it all out, but they ran out of funding to get that much dirt removed. So they just left it the way it is with the hill. And I reckon that adds a lot of character to a little track like this. The short tracks generally do have quite a bit of character, but North Wilkesboro is just something different. As we have about 2.5 minutes left here in practice. Very shortly we will go to commercial breaks. And we'll let these guys qualify in peace. As John Lozelle made another mistake there, coming out of turn 2. James Watson has entered the fray now as the 18th driver. Currently down the bottom of the timetables, but he hasn't put in a serious lap yet. Around goes Travis Massia. And there goes Corey Williamson. But we are going to go to our commercial break now. And when we come back, we will have the results of all of the qualifying action. And we'll see how the grid stacks up here for the Champs Speed Shop 150 live and exclusive right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel from the iRacing North Wilkesboro 1987 racetrack. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Alright, we are back and the grid has finally been set for the Chance Speed Shot 150 here from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Starting off the pole, no surprise at all, it's going to be Christian Budd. On his outside will be the 21 of Brian Chandler starting out of P2. P3 will be the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. P4 will be the 60 of Kyle Kraus. P5 will be the 2 of Chris Champeau. P6, the 23 of John Lazelle. P7 will be the 13 of Travis Massier. P8, the 38 of Thomas Harmon. P9 will be the 24 of Frank Isaacson. P10, the 12 of Matt Burgess. Then we're going to have Mark Pentecoff, James Watson, Matt Horton, Jared Sanchez, Ryan Pizzakemi, Ken Campbell, Corey Williamson, and Jonas Marquez wrapping up your field here today. And what an excellent assembly of cars we have to contend the Champ Speed Shot 150 here today. Altogether 19 people in this server. With the 18 drivers plus myself, strength of field is a 27-13. We've got 150 laps here of the North Wilkesboro Speedway. We're going to go for one more lap around and then we'll get our green flag. So the big questions of this race, will anyone be able to topple Christian Budd? And how will the drivers handle the first few laps here under green? Also, how many cautions are we going to get? This is a short track at the end of the day, and short tracks usually are a little bit dangerous. All those questions will soon be answered as the pace car heads in. And we are off and racing here for Champ Speed Shot 150. Watch you live and exclusive here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And already Christian Budd jumping out to a big lead. The battle is actually on for third here between the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez and the 60 of Kyle Kraus. Just behind them, similarly the battle between the 2 of Chris Champeau and the 23 of John Lazelle. 4 drivers changing positions with the person on their inside and outsides as we go barreling into turn number 3, and just like that we've already completed 2 laps here of the North Wilkesboro Speedway. A little bit close quarters there just behind this little battle between the 38 of Thomas Harmon and the 23 of John Lazelle. Chris Champeau looking to try and make something happen here as he is now stuck in the middle of 2 lots of 2 wide. Wants to be careful though because the 38 of Thomas Harmon looking pretty strong today. We haven't seen too much out of Thomas recently, but he's definitely looking like he's starting to pour on the pressure now and do well in this race. I don't think we've lost anyone from the race yet either, which is always a good sign. But Kyle Kraus and Jonathan Hernandez still side by side as they do battle here for the 3rd position. Kyle Kraus looking like he's got the advantage here on the second line. And we did say earlier in practice that second line is a viable option for making moves, and Kyle Kraus has just proven that here at the moment. Hernandez still trying to fight back. I don't think it's going to work because now he's got the 2 of Chris Champeau on his outside. Chris is hungry for a good result. As long as he can keep his tyres under him and keep his temper under control, I reckon Chris will be in with a really good shot as the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez gets a little bit sideways there coming out of turn number 4. Oh, he's got Thomas Harmon on his outside. Hernandez getting loose again. He wants to get into that second lane immediately. And it looks like he will now as the 23 of John Lazelle has gotten around him. And that's Jonathan Hernandez, who was in third and has now dropped all the way back to 7th. A net loss of 4 positions. Behind Jonathan is actually a little bit of a gap. Back to the 12 of Matt Burgess. You see James Watson in there and Jaron Sanchez as well. These guys battling it out for 8th, 9th and 10th. Then you have the whole field of cars behind them as well. So it's definitely the tale of two tapes right now. The 50 car of Christian Budd still leading the way from Brian Chambliss. Chambliss, the gap has extended out to a second between himself and Budd. Paul Kraus still holding on to 3rd at the moment. Chris Champo on 4th. Thomas Harmon unable to get around John Lozelle here. Falling back to P6. Trying to look for a low line move on Lozelle. It's not quite working out for him. Lozelle also trying to look for a way around Chris Champo. Things have kind of sort of sorted themselves out here in the middle section. Let's go check in on the second pack here, see what's going on back with the rest of our drivers. These guys are looking fine. Let's go to the 15 of Ken Campbell. There he is. Battle behind him between the 24 of Frank Isaacson and the 78 of Brian Pizzicami. These two battling it out for 12th and 13th. Frank running that second lane, carrying the momentum. Brian trying to take the short way around this track, up on the inside line. And it looks like he held the advantage that time. I think Brian just had his nose ahead as they got to the start-finish line. And maybe that low line's starting to come back as the tyres are wearing out. And we've already completed 16 laps of this race. Almost 17 as our leader Christian Budd's coming through turn 3 forward right now. Another thing you have to be careful of, especially in turns 3 and 4. Oh, as Brian Pizzicami gets loose. We saw him doing that in practice, getting loose going through 1 and 2. And remember, that is the bottom of the hill. That's where you get the most momentum. And that's where you got to try and pull it up the greatest. But in turns 3 and 4, something that we haven't mentioned yet is that there's actually a little bit of a curb down there on the inside line. As we have a caution, James Watson has gone around in the 39 car. And let's back this up a little bit, see what happened to James. Oh, a little bit of a nudgy nudge there. So he's battling it out with Jaron Sanchez as we've gone too far. Jaron goes for a move up on the inside. And just the slightest of little taps to that left rear of James Watson's car. Getting him all kinds of out of shape. Drifting through 1 and 2. Jaron Sanchez comes in for the double tap. And around James goes and head into the wall. Does he? Yeah, he pulled it up just before he hit the wall. That's some nice driving there. So we're going to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll return to racing action. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And we're back underway here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Champ Speed Shop 150. And that was a perfectly timed advert. Apparently came back just as we were getting the green flag. Christian Budd jumping out to the lead over Brian Chambliss once more. Side by side battling between Lizelle and Chris Champeau. Today's sponsor, Chris Champeau, in a 2-car. See 38, Thomas Harmon there just looming in the background. Thomas in P6, he wants to get into the top 5 here. In fact, he wants to get all the way up to P2 so that way he can try and challenge for the lead. You know that Thomas Harmon is a tenacious racer. He doesn't like how dominant one Christian Budd has been. But side by side go Kyle Kraus and Chris Champeau now. Brian Chambliss has skipped away from these guys ever so slightly. And Thomas Harmon has also made the move up in the 4th on the inside of Lizelle now. Kyle Kraus trying to stick on the outside of the 2 of Chris Champeau. Not going to be able to do it. Chris Champeau gets him cleared. Now he has to deal with the 38 of Thomas Harmon, who's trying to make a move for the 3rd position. I think Thomas got a little bit loose there coming out of turn 2. Oh, sorry, out of turn 4, sorry. And he's not battling for 3rd. I'm an idiot. He's battling for 4th. Because Thomas is currently in 5th. It looks like for now these guys just consolidating position, maybe thinking about tyre strategy a little bit. Go back and check on Frank Isaacson in the 24 car, who is going side by side with Matt Horton in the 33. Just in front of them, I think I just heard Jaron Sanchez. It was either Sanchez or Matt Burgess getting into the wall ever so slightly. As Matt Horton now makes that move stick, drops Frank back to 12th. And back to single file racing, these guys go. Let's go and check in on our 2nd place driver right now, Brian Chambliss. It looks like he's the cork in the bottle right now, holding up this train of cars behind him. And one thing about short tracks everyone knows is that they're notoriously difficult to get overtakes done. In saying that, for someone like Thomas Harmon, he can find himself making moves very quickly when he needs to. He was looking for a way around the 60 of Kyle Kraus there. Couldn't quite get a move made. That is ever so looming in the background there. Waiting for his chance to pounce. Lane 2 for Chris Champeau, who is looking for a move around Brian Chambliss wherever he can find it. I think this is Brian Chambliss's first look here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. I don't think he actually owned this track prior to this. As the 38 of Thomas Harmon in a spot of bother here. John Lizelle getting up to his inside, trying to make a move. Very close quarters. I don't know how they didn't come to blows there. You also got Jonathan Hernandez looming back there as well. He's sitting in P7. He would like to get a better result this week. But our second, third, and fourth place drivers just ever so slightly skipping away from Thomas Harmon here, although he is starting to close the gap up a little bit. In fact, he closed it in by 2/10 there, bringing it back down to 3/10. And again, we have a huge train of cars. Now, just having a look at the gaps here. We have a 9-car train going on right now. As I see the 5 of Mark Pentecoff stopped on the backstretch. He's going for a spin. And he's trying to bring it back on the track, but he's having trouble getting grip in that grass. And there is a caution. It was bound to come out, honestly, but let's see what happened to start that off for poor old Mark. He's battling at the back with Brian Pizzakemi. Does he get loose or does he get help? And survey says he got loose. And comes straight across into the right front of Pizzakemi, and around he went. That is unfortunate for Mark, one of the nice guys of the Airport Racing League here. But we are going to go to another commercial break now. When we come back, we'll see how things stack up after any pit stop cycles. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And we are back here live and exclusive on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Champs Speed Shop 150, brought to you from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And your current top 10 is going to be Christian Budd and Chris Champo up into P2, amazingly, over Kyle Kraus, Thomas Harmon, Jonathan Hernandez, John Lozelle, Ken Campbell, Jaron Sanchez, Frank Isaacson, and Travis Massio. Brian Chambliss deciding to pit, and he is going to be restarting from the 11th position. As the lights have gone out on the pace car, let's see how we go here on the restart. Currently Christian Budd still the man to beat, but he hasn't encountered lap traffic yet, as we're nearly 1/3 of the way through this race. Pace car has gone in, and we're off and racing immediately. The launch by the 50 of Christian Budd. Chris Champo battling it out with the 60 of Kyle Kraus. It looks like the inside line is going to prevail here at the moment. Although Chris Champo really pushing it on that high line, trying to make it work. Same too with the 38 of Thomas Harmon, who has the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez on his inside. Close quarters action for second and third. And it looks like Chris Champo is going to take the advantage and take over second, clean and clear. And now here comes Thomas Harmon to the outside of Kyle Kraus, trying to take away third. See these guys a little bit unsettled on entry. That's what we'll talk about. A little bit loose on entry for all the cars, especially down at the bottom of the hill there. Because you've got to put that little bit of extra braking effort into the car to get it woed up in time for 1 and 2. You kind of want to use the banking there as a slingshot to slingshot you up the back straight. As a 38 Thomas Harmon trying to make that move stick. But here comes the 21 of Brian Chambliss. Now he pitted under that caution, started 11th, and he's already worked his way back up to P5. So he's made 6 positions, 6 lap restart on his fresh tyres. He's taking it easy here. He doesn't want to force a 3 wide between himself, Thomas, and Kyle. But he is going to be a force to be reckoned with when these guys do single file out here. It looks like Thomas Harmon starting to lose out on that outside lane. Gets it back on entry. Let's see what he can do with the exit. Oh, Kyle got loose. That is practically a free kick for Thomas Harmon. Kyle still is. Oh, no. The 21 of Chambliss has gone around. 23 John Lazelle's gotten into him. Let's see what happened there. I think there might have been contact with Hernandez as they're coming into turn number 1. And yeah, it looks like Hernandez. Oh, Hernandez got a tap from Horton. And that put Hernandez into the back of Chambliss, and around Chambliss went. And Lazelle, unfortunately, nowhere to go there. Committing to the inside line, just a little bit of a tap into the 21 of Chambliss, so shouldn't be too much damage for either of those drivers. 64 Jonas Marquez also getting a little bit stuffed up there. But that means that we're going to go to another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to see how things unfold for pitting cycles, because Chambliss was quick there, so let's see. And my oh my, how the turntables have turned. Christian Budd has gone into the pits under that caution. He's going to be starting out of P7 right now. We got Matt Horton, who's going to be starting on the pole. On his outside will be Corey Williamson. It's going to be James Watson, Matt Burgess, and Jonas Marquez, with Brian Chambliss restarting P6. As I said, Christian Budd out of 7th, Thomas Harmon 8th, Chris Champo 9th, and Jonathan Hernandez out of P10. So this is going to be interesting, because we don't usually see that 50 car starting in traffic. So he's going to have to negotiate his way through without wrecking anyone. And a lot of new faces up towards the front there, people we don't usually see, like Corey Williamson. Pace car is in, we're off and racing.
Green flag.
A really good jump there for Horton. Williamson trying to fight back on the outside, unable to do so. He's going to slot into second. But James Watson sitting there in third, but he is getting hounded by the 12 of Matt Burgess. Oh, loose cars in the background. There's the 21 and the 38, Thomas Harmon and Brian Chambliss. It looks like they got away with that somehow. But here comes Thomas Harmon, trying to find his way around Matt Burgess now. The 88, Jonathan Hernandez, is there as well. Just behind them, the 50 of Christian Budd, who is not carving his way through traffic as quickly as one would have thought he would, especially given his pace, but he's be taking it easy as the 12 of Matt Burgess bounces off the wall. To the inside goes Thomas Harmon. Got Jonathan Hernandez trying the outside lane because he was forced up there by Christian. And that fresh tyre advantage is massive. We've got another caution on the track. And that is a 2 of Chris Champeau in the grass in turn 2. Let's go see what happens. He's battling with the 21 of Chambliss. And he just got loose all by himself there. Pushed that little bit too hard and around he went. Sanchez doing a good job to avoid him. And that is what's brought out our 4th caution of this race. So we're going to go to another quick commercial break here. And when we come back, we're going to see if anyone else wants to pit. Make sure you guys stay tuned. And we are back here live and exclusive on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Champ Speed Shop 150 here from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Matt Horton still continuing to stay out in front. James Watson, we starting on his outside in P2. You're going to have Thomas Harmon and Matt Burgess in 3rd and 4th. Christian Budd, P5. Jonathan Hernandez, P6. Brian Chambliss, 7. Darren Sanchez, 8. Kyle Kraus, 9th. And Ken Campbell out of P10. A couple of people did decide to pit under that caution, one of which being Corey Williamson. And with that caution, I do believe everyone is actually back on the lead lap now, which is incredible. Good to see everyone back on the lead lap as we get ready for a restart now. Thomas Harmon and Christian Budd in a great positions there, being on the inside line right behind the leader. So they'll get a good jump here, one would assume. The pace car is in and we're off and racing. Matt Horton with another big jump on James Watson. Here comes Thomas Harmon now to the inside. James looking for that 2nd spot. James getting into the wall ever so slightly, coming out of turn 2, trying to maximize his exits, get as much speed as he can. Thomas Harmon to the inside of Watson, and he's just now got his nose ahead. Can he hold off the momentum of that higher line? That will be the ultimate question, and I think he will. And then he's going to start marching after James Watson. Matt Horton, as James Watson nearly got loose. Hit to the side of Christian Budd there, coming out of turn 4. Now it's Matt Horton, who last pitted on lap 45. And he's going to deal with these guys who pitted 10 laps after him and are on fresher tyres. As you see in the background there, James Watson still losing some more positions. He last pitted lap 45 as well. The one thing Thomas Harmon would not want right now is a caution, because that'll put him on the outside of the front row, and it's very hard to get a good launch from there, as someone there just went Berry around. I think that might have been the 12 of Matt Burgess. Let's go have a look. And it was the 12 of Matt Burgess. Had the 4 of Jaron Sanchez behind him. They were battling with James Watson. Oh, I see what's happened here. He didn't just go for the mega block, but he was also trying to get around James Watson, and the classic Sanchez and Burgess rivalry reignited as around goes the 12 of Matt Burgess. He managed to keep it going there. He'll come in and get some repairs. And that also means that we're going to go to another commercial break now. So make sure you guys stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to see the fallout from that caution. Alright, we're back here live for the Champ Speed Shop 150 here from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. We're going green this time by, as you see, Thomas Harmon starting the outside of the front row. But the man with the big advantage right now, 33, Matt Horton, he gets to dictate the start. And he's choosing to start halfway into the pace car. Pace car goes in. We're off and racing again.
Go, go, go. Green flag.
And that was actually a really good jump by Thomas Harmon on the outside. Got a little bit of a push there from Jonathan Hernandez in the 88, which kept him in that fight for the lead. They're obviously trying to keep the 50 of Christian Budd behind Matt Horton here. So that way he can't gain the advantage. And for the first time today, Thomas Harmon is going to lead a lap here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And as you can see, the 50 of Christian Budd back into 4th now after getting stuck behind Matt Horton for a few laps there. Now Hernandez up into P2. And Christian Budd unable to make the pass for 3rd so far. He's still playing around with that higher line, trying to make it happen. Looks like he might get it done this lap. But he wants to lead, and he can't do that from 3rd position. You see there's a battle starting to form behind Matt Horton here between the 4 and the 60 of Sanchez and Kraus. In fact, there's a whole lot of traffic back here behind Matt Horton. Some would say that it's a little bit of a hornet's nest right now. Words are hard. But Sanchez and Kraus continuing on this battle. They're battling it out for the 5th position. Looks like Kraus has the advantage at the moment. As Sanchez got into the wall coming out of turn 2. 23 Lizelle finding his way into this battle as well. And that is Sanchez from 5th back to 7th. Let's go have a look at our top 3 now. It's Harmon, Hernandez, and Budd. One of these people just doesn't belong, and it's going to be Christian Budd as someone's just come into the pits. I think it was the 4 of Jaron Sanchez who's just come into the pits. And it is. Not sure what's going on there for Sanchez. But he has just decided to pull out of the traffic and into the pit lane. And Hernandez getting very loose coming out of turn 4. This is Christian Budd's advantage now. He's going to try and make that move around the outside. Whether or not he can make it stick or not. Hernandez giving plenty of room to Christian. These guys have a lot of racing respect for each other. They're both good, hard racers. And that is now Christian Budd back up into P2. The only person he's got left to try and fight is that 38 of Thomas Harmon. But that is much easier said than done. Thomas Harmon, one of the more tenacious racers, as I see the 64 going very slow here in turns 1 and 2. Looks like he's come a mischief and possibly hit the inside wall. And we have a caution on the track. I think that one is for the 33 of Matt Horton. Let's see what happened here to Max. Going into turn 1. And he just got sideways all by himself. But that is why we've got a caution out again. Which means it's time for another commercial break. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in just 60 seconds. And we are back for the Chance Speed Shot 150 here from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. As you can see, none of our top 3 pitted, so it's still going to be Thomas Harmon from Christian Budd and Jonathan Hernandez with Carl Kraus in P4, John Lizelle 5. Chris Champeau works his way back up to P6 after his earlier incident. James Watson 7, Ken Campbell 8, Brian Pizzakemi in 9th, and Travis Massia rounding up your top 10. Brian Chambliss just sitting there in 11th as well. Things just haven't been the same for him after he got into that incident. Lights are still on the pace car, so we'll probably go around one more time after this. It looks like Thomas Harmon is going to choose the outside lane for this restart. It is leader's choice which lane you want to start in. The lights are out on the pace car. That's going to put Christian Budd to the inside for the restart. Let's see if this gamble will pay off for Thomas Harmon. Come out turn 4 again. And we're off and racing.
Go, go, go. Green flag.
And it indeed was a huge payoff for the 38 of Thomas Harmon there. Big jump into turn 1. Makes the corner very nicely. And he is leading the way as we are nearing 50 laps to go in this race. We have 58 laps to go right now. We've got a battle going on there. I think that's the 5th between Chris Champeau and John Lizelle. Both those drivers driving very hard. Lizelle Looked like he got a little bit out of shape in the middle of the corner there. Almost put Champeau into the wall. Also got the 39 of Watson there trying to get involved in this battle. As Chris Champeau has now cleared Lizelle. James Watson just doesn't quite have the legs to pull up beside Lizelle. Great battle going on here for the 5th position. As Lizelle now battling back to the inside. Champeau can't do it with that momentum on the outside for Chris Champeau. And in the background there is a battle as well. I think we also have a battle for the lead going on, which we do, between Thomas Harmon and Christian Budd, who just hit the grass coming through turn 2 that time. Got the car unsettled. That ruined his run coming onto the back straight. And loose again is the 50 of Christian Budd. He is pushing hard right now. He is actually probably busting a sweat off his forehead. Only one little drop of sweat though. It's Christian Budd. He's a cool, calm, calculated character. And he doesn't let things like this furrow his brow too much. But Thomas Harmon definitely going to make him work for this victory. And Christian Budd knows it. Thomas, one of our most tenacious competitors, a 2-time champion. And he's currently holding off the most dominant driver that we've seen in recent times. To the inside goes Christian Budd again. It's not going to work out for him. He had to slow up too much. That momentum on the outside helping out Thomas Harmon. But Christian Budd is now closer than he ever has been coming into turn 3. How will we come out of turn 4? And it's still going to be Thomas Harmon at the line. And we got a caution. That was a very well-timed caution for our 38 car. But let's see what happened here. Travis Massier involved. I think there's a few people involved in this incident. And there is. They're coming through turn 3 into 4. Ken Campbell checked up a little bit there. Got a little bit unsettled. Travis Massier nowhere to go into the back left of Ken Campbell's car. And Massier just proceeded to bulldoze him from there. Unfortunately, looks like the 21 Chambliss nowhere to go as well. But he managed to get it pulled up without hitting anything. That's great. And down the track comes Travis. Oh no, Frank. Unfortunately getting involved in that one too. We're going to go to another quick commercial break. Hopefully we can catch these guys in time before they start so we can see how everything unfolds after pit stops. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And we are back for the Champ Speed Shop 150 here for the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And more big changes. Thomas Harmon leading the way from Kyle Kraus, Chris Champeau, Brian Pizzicami, James Watson, Ryan Chambliss in P6, Matt Burgess 7, Matt Horton 8, Mark Pentecuff 9th. And Christian Budd will be restarting from 10th position after pitting under that caution. We are within the final 50 laps now as the lights go out on the pace car. When we get the green flag, we will only have 95 laps. Oh, sorry, 45 laps left to run in this race. A little bit excited there, thinking 95. I don't know why. Christian Budd will have to come from deep in the field. Means he'll have to burn up his tyres a little bit to get to the front, especially if Thomas gets another really good jump here. As the pace car goes in. And we're off and racing. He held them up a little bit there. A little bit of stack up going on as people were trying to anticipate the start. Everyone had been starting early the entire day besides the first start, which is the leader's prerogative. But here comes Brian Pizzakemi trying to take away the second position from Kyle Kraus. Pizzakemi started towards the back of the field, not qualifying. Deciding that he didn't want to be a part of the foofa of the shenanigans at the front of the field. Thomas Harmon is pulling away from these guys a little bit, which is what he's got to do. He's got to try and build up as big of a gap as he can to these guys in second and third. And the other thing he's got to hope is that they stay side by side in front of the 50 of Christian Budd, which they are currently. But Christian is going to try and go around the outside of 3 wide, which he does so around the 33 of Matt Horton and the 21 of Brian Chambliss. Those fresh tyres working a treat for him right now, as his next target is going to be the 2 of Chris Champeau in 4th position. And this should be a fairly easy pass, but he got into the wall there going into turn 3. I think Chris gave him very much room there. Now to the inside of Chris Champeau he goes. Chris, another one of our very aggressive drivers. There's a 60 of Kyle Kraus blocking off that lower lane. Says if you're going to take it, you can't take it this time. Christian now unfeathered by Chris Champeau being on his outside. Now has Kyle Kraus on his outside and he gives him a tap. Around goes Kyle Kraus. Oh no, John Lozelle nowhere to go. Oh no, let's have a look at that again in slow-mo. Probably a little bit of netcode in this contact, which it definitely looks like that's a netcode contact. And around goes Kyle, and unfortunately John Lozelle just nowhere to go, straight into the side of Kyle. And everyone behind checking up. It looks like everyone else gets through cleanly. So we're going to go to another commercial break here. When we come back, we're going to see how the pit stop cycles cycle through again. So make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, we're back here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, the Champ Speed Shop 150. And Christian Budd is going to be leading the way. Jonathan Hernandez P2, Matt Horton P3. Brian Chambliss is going to be restarting from 4th, Corey Williamson 5th, Mark Pentecoff P6, Frank Isaacson 7th, Thomas Harmon in P8 after pitting, and Brian Pizzakemi in 9th, Chris Champeau in 10th. As we take a quick look at the rest of the field as well. Going to be James Watson, Matt Burgess, Kyle Kraus, Travis Massia, and then Ken Campbell out of 15th. John Lozelle will be restarting P16. P17 is Jonas Marquez, who is 1 lap down. And unfortunately, Jaron Sanchez, OUT, out of this race. As we get ready for the restart, Christian Budd electing to take the inside, and we're off and racing.
Green flag.
Like Corey Williamson trying to anticipate the start there a little bit, got it just slightly wrong. Now it's back to being the Christian Budd show at the front of the pack. Jonathan Hernandez still sitting there in P2. He pitted the same lap as Christian did. But Thomas Harmon already working his way through the field, made his way up into P5. As he is on the inside of Brian Chambliss. I think there was just about contact in the background. I think there was very big contact in the background. Oh, there's a massacre going on. A lot of cars involved in this incident. Let's back this up and have a look at what unfolded. This might take a little bit to digest. We're coming out of turn 2. We have 3 wide between James Watson, 78 of Brian Pizzakemi, and the 5 of Mark Pentecuff. Plenty of room given by the looks of things so far. And Mark bounced off the wall by the looks of things, and maybe the 78 Pizzakemi came across the track as well. 12 of Matt Burgess jacking up the 5. The 60 gets a little bit of a tap as well. And is it just those 4 involved? Looks like for the most part, yes. Go and have a look at where the 12 is at. Yeah, it looks like Lozelle there, lucky to not be involved in anything. So that is a few more drivers, unfortunately, caught up in some action there. Let's go back to live pictures. Getting a little bit of cloud cover now. Just see Christian Budd into the lead again. Jonathan Hernandez will be restarting P2. The Matt Horton there in 3rd. Thomas Harmon will be restarting from P4. Corey Williamson P5. Chris Champeau P6. Frank Isaacson will be from 7th. James Watson 8th. Matt Burgess will still be restarting this from 9th. And John Lozelle out of P10. In fact, Lozelle, I think, just came into the pits. Was it? No, that wasn't Lozelle. Must have been Jonas. That short track racing, we've currently had 9 cautions. Nearly 1/3 of this race has been under caution laps. 40 laps completed under caution. Now it looks like Christian Budd is going to be restarting from the inside line again. It's smart considering Thomas Harmon's restarting P4. But Harmon is hoping that Hernandez can get a stellar restart and stay up there with Christian Budd, so that way Thomas can be within that fight as well. But let's see how this restart goes. Come through turn 4. Pace car is in. And we're off and racing.
Go, go, go. Green flag.
And it was a decent start for Hernandez. Not a stellar start, though. But Thomas Harmon on those fresh tyres just pulled around Matt Horton. And is now up into the 3rd position. So this will be a battle worth watching. As Hernandez gets into the wall a little bit there on the main straight. To the inside he goes to try and take second away from Hernandez. Oh, and Matt Horton has just been spun. Just saw that in the background shot there, coming out of turn 2. As the 2 of Chris Champeau that's behind him, I think Matt Horton might have just cleared the throttle there a little bit. And unfortunately, Chris Champeau getting into the back of him. And that has brought out our 10th caution of this race. We're going to go to another commercial break now. When we come back, we're going to see if anyone decides to pit. I doubt, because we've only got 20 laps left to go soon. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And we are back once more here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Champs Speed Shop 150. Gonna be Christian Budd leading us away on the restart here from Hernandez, Thomas Harmon, Chris Champeau, James Watson, Corey Williamson, Don Lozelle out of P7, Frank Isaacson 8, Matt Burgess 9th, and Ken Campbell out of P10. And by all appearances, it looks like Christian Budd is going to restart in the outside lane. Now we know that this is going to be all strategy because the 38 of Thomas Harmon is restarting P3. This is Christian Budd holding back his competition to try and get the biggest advantage here. As we get this restart, it's only going to be 19 laps left to run. So we are in the final 20 laps. This is where the intensity is going to start stepping up quite a bit. So let's see how these guys can handle that kind of pressure. We've had 10 cautions as the pace car goes in, and we're off and racing.
Go, go, go. Green flag.
And it's a monstrous start there for the 50 of Christian Budd. The 88 Jonathan Hernandez protecting the low line, so Thomas Harmon couldn't get underneath him. But let's see what Thomas can do here. We've got a little bit of a battle back here as well. Corey Williamson there in the outside lane. And that's John Lozelle on his inside. And it looks like some of that pizzazz is out of the tyres here of Thomas Harmon. Let's go see if we can watch this other battle then. There's Corey Williamson stuck on the outside still. Frank Isaacson up there as in P8. And there comes Matt Burgess as well after being heavily involved in that previous incident. And not the one that just happened, but I won a couple before. And the 2 of Chris Champeau looking to the inside of Thomas Harmon for third. Chris, who's on a similar tyre strategy to Thomas, trying to make that move stick. Couldn't quite get it done. Got a little bit tight there on entry to one by the looks of things. Almost stood up into the side of Thomas Harmon. Managed to get it pulled up in time, which is a great relief to everyone watching. Oh, and we have drama in the background. I saw the 23 Lozelle around, and I think that was off the nose of the 24 of Frank Isaacson. But he gets it straightened back out and gets it going again. No caution. And Christian Budd is opening that gap up to Jonathan Hernandez. And now here comes Thomas Harmon. Big time to the inside. Got very unsettled there on entry. And Chris Champeau will swoop in underneath him and take him for third. That was probably the best opportunity Harmon had at trying to take second place away and start to chase after Christian Budd. But unfortunately, that's all going to be for naught now. As James Watson's starting to buy into this battle as well. I think Thomas Harmon has well and truly used the best of his tyres. Now he's just got to try and hold on for dear life. Maybe try and get around the two of Chris Champeau there and get back onto the podium. We'll have to wait and see how that's going to work out for them. But besides that one very risky move, it looks like everyone's starting to calm down a little bit in this race now. No one really battling too hard anywhere. As we're now in the final 10 laps. It's 10 laps to go. Christian Budd still leading the way. Go check in on the 15 of Ken Campbell, who's in a battle here with Kyle Kraus. These two are battling it out for the 9th position. Looks like Kyle with the inside line is going to have the advantage here. He does, makes that move stick. Ken Campbell back to P10 now. Let's go have a look at our leader, the 50th Christian Budd. And he already has a 1.5 second lead over the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. And he might actually encounter a little bit of lap traffic here before the end of the race. It's 2 laps to go. And there is a lap car of John Lozelle ahead. I don't think he will actually get into it with him. So Christian just starting to cruise a little bit now. He's got a gap. Just has to manage that gap as it's white flag, last lap, last chance to win it all. Oh, no. Don't mind me. I'm 5 laps ahead of myself. I am a ginormous idiot. And we have a safety car. And I think that one was for the 81 of Corey Williamson. Let's go back and have a look. This is going to change the scope of the end of this race. And he just got loose coming out of turn 4 all by himself. Hits the inside wall and stops the car before he came back out into traffic. Good job there. Yeah, brought out a caution, but that was well worth it. Now we're going to stick with these guys live, as I'm pretty sure we will be going into overtime, and Chris Champeau has made his way into P2. I did not see that before. Chris Champeau got around Jonathan Hernandez and is now in P2. Now everyone will be trying to cool out their tyres a little bit here, especially those who have worked them hard in those final few laps there. This is where all the chips are going to be on the table. Is this restart right now? I think we have 3 opportunities at a green, white, checkered finish. This might end up being our first one. And then we'll have 2 more opportunities after this. think on this restart, we're actually going to ride on board with the 38 Thomas Harmon. It looks like Christian Budd going to select the outside line again. That's what it's looking like right now. So we're going to ride on board the 38 Thomas Harmon for this restart on the gyro cam. We are on our first of 3 green white checkers. The lights are out. We got 1 to green this time. Let's see what Thomas Harmon can do now, restarting behind the leader here on the outside line. Thomas Harmon closes right in. And we're giving the gyro cam operator the week off, so the gyro cam's not actually going to be moving around. It's there, but we can't rotate it or anything. And we're off and racing. Another very early jump there for Christian Budd. Thomas Harmon trying to take away that second position. And he's done so. We've got a car in the fence in the back straight there. That's the 81 of Corey Williamson again. As we come out of turn 3 and 4 for the penultimate time. Will we get the white flag? And we do. It's white flag, last lap, last chance to win it or wear it for Christian Budd. And it looks like he might be winning it here right now. But the battle is on for second. Saw James Watson getting loose coming out of turn 2. But coming out of the final corner for the final time, your winner going to be the 50 of Christian Budd. Going to be Thomas Harmon P2, and I think just Chris Champeau in third. What a finish to that race. That was incredible. These guys should be proud of themselves because that was such an entertaining green-white checker. Close quarters racing. But again, Christian Budd on top of the totem pole here. He's going to do his burnouts. And we are going to go to another commercial break here. When we come back, we are going to have driver interviews to make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, guys. It is time for us to do driver interviews. Normally, we would start with the hard charger, but ignore that for now because we're not doing our hard charger first. Our hard charger is in the top three. But it wasn't our third place getter, but our third place getter, we don't get to talk to him very often at all. And I'm so glad that we do get to talk to him because he's also the sponsor for today's race. Please, everyone, welcome Chris Champo from Champ Drives Cars, today's third place getter. And Chris, crazy race out there today, man. 11 cautions and, just a whole lot of fighting through the field, a little bit of pit strategy under the cautions. And you were in the right place at the right time at the end of that race.
Yeah, it's a bummer that last caution came up because we were actually in second and catching Christian. So I was kind of hoping there wouldn't be a caution. We were ahead of Thomas, and I was happy about that. But racing is racing, and of course there was a caution. So it was we actually had a terrible restart in that green-white checker, and it's truthfully shocking to me that I did not get passed by Chambliss because it was probably within a couple tenths that I was able to nudge him out. If we had one more lap, he would have beat me. So it was a really exciting, really stressful green-white checker there. But overall, good race for me. Somewhere about halfway, I think I spun it and was able to work my way back to the field, and I'm pretty stoked about that.
Now, it looked like it was also a fairly physical race out there. A lot of contact going on. As you said, you got spun out there a little bit, and a couple of cars also got spun out off of you as well. What was the racing like with it being that intense?
Well, for the record, I spun myself. No one hit me, but I didn't hit anything, so thankfully. But it's tough because if you're gonna try that inside line, the car just gets a little bit tight if you drive it in a little too deep, and it's really hard to hold your line that inside line without either overdriving it and hitting the car on the outside or spinning it on exit. So it it's 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 hard to say because it's not like any other track that I've ever driven, and it's a very technical track because you can just like that lose the car, and it's really tough to handle it around there sometimes, especially when you've got old tires, maybe 40, 50 laps old. So I'm surprised that the race was as clean as it was. No, 11 cautions is a lot of cautions, but I feel like the guys actually did a pretty good job of keeping it together and driving pretty clean for the most part. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's intense for sure, but you just gotta, focus on your line, focus on what you're doing, and hopefully don't hit anybody doing it.
All right, now let's look forward towards next week, Chris. We're going to the Charlotte Oval. So, what's the feeling like for you heading into Charlotte Week?
Uh, I don't like Charlotte. I do I historically do not do well at Charlotte. So my probably going into that week, I'm probably gonna spend some time practicing, get a baseline, figure out how the car drives. And then after that, it's kind of just go into the race and hope for the best. We've last couple of weeks we had some bad luck. Last week in Homestead we were running P2 and came out of the pits and just got you know made a stupid move and pulled up in front of Kyle and ended the race for us. So hopefully we can have a good race next week in Charlotte, and as long as it's incident free and I can be in the top 10, I think that'll be a victory for us. We'll see.
All right, Chris. Now we know that you are a Twitch streamer, so let's get a shout out to your Twitch channel here, and any other shout outs that you got to do here tonight.
Yeah, streaming Champ Drives Cars, twitch.tv/Champ Drives Cars, streaming. Well, obviously during output racing, we'll stream the race, and then I stream on usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the mornings Pacific time, U.S. Pacific time. So, yeah, and I guess this is the Champ Speed Shop 150. So make sure to stop over at champspeedshop.com and pick you up some swag. If you're interested in some promos, hit me up and we'll get you hooked up.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Chris. Congratulations on P3 in this race, and hopefully, good luck coming your way next week at one of your self-proclaimed bogey tracks.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, guys. So that was the two of Chris Champo, today's third place getter here today. Coming up next, our second place driver is also going to be our Hard Charger Award winner presented by Gladiator. It is, of course, the 38 car of Mr. Thomas Harmon. Thomas, a little bit unlucky there with pit strategy under the caution flag periods, but nevertheless, a good, hard, intense race where, positions were key, especially on those restarts, and surprisingly, tires were a little bit key as well.
The tires would only matter for about 5-10 laps. After that, it was whoever could hold the high line. They would have to run off because the car was really loose on the bottom. But overall, I set my brake bias a little bit farther back than what sounds like most of the guys did. And so I had no short run speed, and I ended up having to dial it all the way forward there for the last couple stints. Because I would be loose as could be coming off the corner, and it cost me a few spots and probably a shot at Christian.
Now, we saw you towards the end of the race there go for a Hail Mary overtake attempt there on Jonathan Hernandez. Was that going to be your only shot to try and make that move stick, or were you planning on cooling your tires out a little bit and maybe trying to have another run in the final couple laps?
I thought that was a death slide from the second I touched the brakes. I pretty much had no control of the car until about turn 2, I think it was, after we'd already separated. But I was turning right, trying to keep the thing under me and keep from hitting him. But my tires were shot after that because it was pretty much a whole 4-tire slide the whole way.
Now let's talk about the race as a whole. It was a very difficult track to try and overtake on. And being the hard charger, obviously you made some moves there. So what was it like for you trying to carve your way through the field with it being so aggressive and car-on-car kind of action?
Like I said, you had to make moves within 5-10 laps. So that way the tires would play a role and you'd be able to get the drive off. After that, it was just hope the guy in front of you made a mistake. Fortunately for me, it seems like plenty of them did to allow me to get there.
Right, now let's look forward to next week. We're going to the Charlotte Oval next week, the newer configuration of the Charlotte Oval. What's the feeling like to you heading to the 2018 version of Charlotte?
It'd be interesting with the grip strips. It should make it fun. Hopefully the car is a little on the loose side, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that.
All right, now we know that you're a Twitch streamer, so let's get a shout out to your Twitch channel and then any other shout outs you have to handle here tonight.
All right, well, shout out my channel first, twitch.tv/JungleCatWizard. Then shout out to you up in the booth for broadcasting it, all the drivers that show up each week, admins, and all the donators for the league, so we can put on the show for everybody. And that's it.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming out, Thomas, and we look forward to seeing what you can do next week at Charlotte.
All right, I'll be there.
All right, guys, that was the 38 of Thomas Harmon, today's second place getter and Hard Charger Award winner. And what a fantastic Hard Charger Award that is. He only made like 6 spots, but it's the 6 spots that mattered. Coming up next, we are going to have the winner of today's race, and I'm pretty sure he's won all but like one race this season, and is literally the most dominant drive that we've seen in the longest time. We're, of course, talking to the 50 of Christian Budd. Christian, a much different race to what you're used to running here with us. A lot of cautions in this one, and a little bit of pit strategy under caution as well, leading you to have to start away from the front row for once.
Yeah, I thought after our first run, I thought we had a decent, longish run there going, and thought maybe could kind of go green if we could get a little separated out. But this track doesn't really lend itself to that. It was really slick, especially under braking, which usually is a problem because you're going to get somebody who makes a mistake and washes up or whatever. So I wasn't surprised by the amount of cautions. Knew that with the tire limits and everything and the way the pit strategy was going to go, that there was going to be some times where I'd have to come back up through the field. You weren't going to pit at the same time as everybody else, and so kind of expected that a little bit. Just kind of didn't want to wreck mostly as I came back through, and fortunately was able to get it done.
Let's talk about the strategy for getting around the people there in those cautions where you were mired towards the back. I mean, I think the furthest back I seen you start was 10th. And, it's not an easy track to make overtakes on after the first 5 laps. So, how were you able to manage that as the run went on?
Yeah, so you had to be really aggressive on your restarts and make sure you got position early, so you could use the good that you had in your tires, and you know because you would kind of tend to stabilize out. And the other thing was, with so many caution laps, even guys on older tires, they had a lot of time to get their tires cooled off and everything. So older tires weren't as big of a detriment as they might be if you just came out of the pits and then had a longer green run. So um, unfortunately, had a little contact with Kyle there coming through, and apologize to him again. I know it was a little bit of net code, but at the same time, he's always been a fair competitor to me, and I hate to see him get wrecked like that. But I was again, I was on those newer tires, just trying to get up to the front. Um, Felt like I kept it on the bottom, but anyway, so I hate to see that anyway, and uh, don't want to see more yellows. Don't like to cause yellows. Don't usually do that. I don't think so. Anyway.
Now, let's talk about the track. This track is fairly unique, not just because it's a 1987 variant of it, but it's also on a bit of a hill. Turns 1 and 2 being down at the bottom of the hill, 3 and 4 being on top. What was that like to manage as a driver, considering all 4 corners of the track basically different?
Yeah, I mean, it really just had to do with the fact that when you're on the bottom here, you kind of need that track width to slide up off the corner to get a good runoff. So it's easy to get pinned down, especially in 1 and 2 where the banking kind of tends to flatten out. So that's why you see the high side really getting good runs off on the exit of the corner. Even, iRacing's never messed with this track or added grip to it. It's always been kind of multi-group because of that. So it does make it a little more difficult. And also the way the car unloads as you exit these corners, when you're coming off a 2, it tends to kind of load up and you can be a little more aggressive. And then you come off a 4 and it unloads because you're going downhill. So you got to manage that a little bit, and you just had to be really careful with the throttle. These ARCA cars, they don't make a lot of power, but they have been pretty loose, especially on the short tracks, and you can still get really out of shape if you're not careful.
Right, now let's look forward to next week. We're going to the 2018 Charlotte Oval with the grip strips. So what's the feeling like for you heading into Charlotte next week?
I saw they did a track update too, so I don't know if they changed any of that in the last update, but I haven't really. I've driven on it a little bit with the grip strips. I haven't raced it competitively, so it's going to be kind of like Homestead and Auto Club in the sense that we're all going to have to kind of learn how this is going to work with these cars, and it's going to be setup dependent. Hopefully, everything I'd heard was that the top line was pretty much dominant. I'm hoping they maybe back that off a little bit in that last update so we can have 2 viable lanes. But, my opinion so far of it with these cars is that at Auto Club, with the way the setup was, we were pretty much stuck up high. And then, at Homestead, we were stuck on the bottom. So I'm not sure what we're going to see when we get there. But, again, it'll depend on the setup, and hopefully it'll be a good race. These cars on these big tracks tend to be kind of, kind of tight usually and kind of pushy. So we'll see.
All right, now let's look forward to the shout outs now. We know you're a Twitch streamer, so let's get the shout out for your Twitch stream and any other shout outs you got to handle here tonight.
Yeah, just twitch.tv/ChristianBud. That's one word. And, you can watch all the highlights and everything. And then, of course, always going to shout out Output Racing and all the guys who show up here every week. And it's a good group. So if you're looking for a league, you should definitely consider it. they'll be starting a new season coming up here soon. I think we only got a couple of races left in this one, so I'm not sure what's decided on being run yet. But like I said, it's a good group and it's a lot of fun. Of course, Corey up in the booth doing all our broadcasting at the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. Autism Awareness for sponsoring our race. And go ahead and shout out Smith Sim Racing. It's my team that we're running Road to Pro with. And Winsdale Cup, race it out on Sundays.
Chris was the sponsor for this week.
Oh, it was. You put the wrong thing on the stream. Okay.
What do you mean
Well,
wrong thing on the stream?
I was watching it. It was in the corner. Oh, you got a rotating.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You see, you're trying to throw me off. All right. Well, we're gonna say Champ Speed Shop for sponsoring this race, and we like Chris, and I'm glad he had a good finish tonight too.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Christian, and congratulations on your win, and Nina for falling for my trap. And we look forward to seeing what you can do next week at the Grip Strippy Charlotte.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. So that was today's winner, the 50 car of Christian Budd. And what a fantastic drive that was. But this is where we are going to end proceedings for tonight. Thank you all for coming out and watching. Don't forget, you can watch the replay either right here on the Twitch channel in the VODs, or you can wait till tomorrow where the video will be available on the YouTube, youtube.com, youtube.com/C/Aussie Sim Commentator, all one word. And until next week, when we go to the Grip Strippy Charlotte, make sure you guys have a good week out there, and we'll see you guys same place, same time next week.